Laurel Peltier, and I'm a Curriculum and Instruction Specialist for the Collaborative for Educational Services. And I'm here today speaking with a guest about IEP team planning in a way that keeps cultural and economic diversity in mind. And this is my guest.
So hello, thank you for having me. I'm Albert Mussad. I'm a Leadership and Instruction Specialist at the Collaborative for Educational Services, and it's my privilege to lead the management and design of the Leading Educational Access Project in cooperation with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Well, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the first question that I have for you, Albert, is can you describe culturally responsive practice? Like, what is it, and what are the things that IEP team leaders can do to support this practice when they evaluate and plan for students with disabilities?
Sure. So it's really important for us to keep in mind that sometimes we think of classroom practice and then school-wide practice, and culturally responsive schools and culturally responsive practice is really a function of the institution of the school, and even the school district. That there are certainly local practices in a classroom, but it really is a function of a commitment of the leader of a school and educators in a school. So culturally responsive practice is first and foremost committed to the achievement of all students. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but when we think about all students, while we might tend to go towards students who are struggling or less ready learners, that we also need to keep in mind students who are more ready, right? So gifted students, and we also have special education students, and frankly there are students who are dually identified as both special education students and also gifted learners. So it matters that we see students for all of the demographic characteristics that they bring and all of the assets that they bring to their learning. The principal and the teachers in a culturally responsive school are committed to evidence-based practice for all learners, so that in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts tiered system of supports really relies on high-quality education instruction in Tier 1, and that's a commitment of culturally responsive practice. We know that culturally responsive schools and leaders and teachers are learner-centered, right? So what does that mean? That means that we begin by recognizing, cataloging a student's assets and strengths, right? Resisting what could be the impulse to identify and catalog the places where they're struggling and the places where they are less ready. We recognize their cultural funds of knowledge and practice and relationships. And we honestly look at weaknesses and challenges. We take a growth mindset to those. We emphasize improvement. And so when we look at the PLEP, we're paying attention to what interventions might we provide in a school that can lift a student from a current level of readiness to the next level of readiness.
I love that answer, because I think that it fits so well with what we all as special educators are trained to do. It kind of brings together these big ideas of being a place that is focused on what students are capable of, the capacities, the strengths, the gifts, the authentic experiences, and trying to find ways to incorporate that into our planning, and in some ways maybe to leverage it so that students with disabilities have the same access, as all students, and that we're actually improving all of our schools and our classrooms so that all kids can bring who they are and do well.
Yes, so I just want to emphasize, and I think you said it really well, that culturally responsive practice is not only for culturally and linguistically diverse learners, but it's for all learners and all practices, again with an emphasis on high quality instruction, on relationships and on building background.
Yeah, and it sounds like at a team meeting, right? If we're talking about an IEP team meeting
Yes.
or a team leader, that knowing about those things, knowing what the school is doing as a whole
Yes.
community might be important.
Yes.
That's a really great point.
Well, glad I could help.